So it's about 8 minutes of 3, and we are at the side trail to the Limestone Spring Shelter. Over there is a sign that says the summit of Prospect Mountain is half a mile that way, not 7/10 like my guidebook says. In that direction, the AT continues northbound. So, well, here the sign and the guidebook and my memory all agree that it's half a mile down to the shelter. All of the other shelters and campsites we've gone to, the access trails have not been all that long. So you might ask, why would somebody put a shelter half a mile off the trail and down, as you'll see a little bit of, a nasty, rocky, steep trail? And the answer to that is they didn't. This Blue Blaze Trail that leads down to the shelter used to be the Appalachian Trail, and then they relocated it to avoid a bit of road walk and whatnot, as they tend to do. So let's head down and see what it takes to get there. So as we approach the shelter, first thing we'll see is a bear box, properly labeled, so you'll know what it is. This is the first bear box we've seen in our travels north in Connecticut, and we need to cross the brook. So once we get across the river, well, the shelter is up there on the hill, and we'll take a look at that in a bit. Down here near the river is a nice big wide open flat area that I can recall from before, and down here there are 3 tent platforms, and these are the first tent platforms we've seen on our trip up the AT. And there are, these look to be about 8 by 8, maybe a little bigger. And there's plenty of other open space here as well for tents. And it doesn't look too beat down, maybe because that's because the tent platforms keeps the impact kind of condensed. So up the hill there a little is the backside of a moldering privy of a more recent design, semi-open. And between here and there is a wash pit, which we've seen before. So pretty standard stuff, well, with the addition of a bear box and tent platforms. Let's see the shelter. So the shelter is, again, pretty standard design for an AT shelter in Connecticut. And it looks to be in good repair. And people have been abusing the no fires policy, of course, as they will. Sign over here says water. Well, it's the finest kind water source. I seem to remember something of a pool. Maybe it's back up in there and was lost in some kind of landslide or something. Oh well, it's in my memory. Maybe that's all it ever was. But, so we got water from a pipe. Oh yes, and I mentioned up top that the descent down to here was reputed to be steep and nasty, and that's the reputation mostly developed inside my head. I've done it before, but you know, your mind plays tricks on you over time. So it wasn't as bad as I thought. There is one section, it's not that long a section, that is pretty steep, but it's I put it on par for trail in Connecticut with St. John's Ledges or the north side of Bear Mountain on the AT, both of which are, you know, some serious bits of trail, but nothing to be afraid of. And so that concludes our tour and visit to Limestone Spring Shelter and Campsite. It's a good shelter. Don't be dissuaded by the half mile off the AT. It is a little hike. It took me 20 minutes to get back up here this morning. And I certainly enjoyed my night there on the tent platform. So I hope you found that enjoyable and or useful, and thank you for watching.